we all have stories. We all come from somewhere. We're all representing families. We're representing different experiences, but we're all here for a specific purpose.
Joining us on today's episode of The Shift is Stephen Curry, Golden State Warriors point guard and now 4-time NBA champion. Off the court, Curry brings the same transformational qualities of innovation and transformation to anchoring Penny Jar, an early-stage VC firm that supports category-leading companies. Welcome to The Shift. We're very excited today to have with us Steph Curry.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We're going to start in 2018.
Okay.
You wrote an article in the Players Tribune about pay equity, and this was before it had really come on the scene in terms of a big topic. And then fast forward 3 years, you anchored the VC fund Penny Jar, and you invested in Syndio, which I'm the CEO of that company.
Talk to him.
And we focused on pay equity. And I'm just curious, why was this a big deal to you so early? What's that about?
There's that saying, like, behind every strong man is a strong woman, and I really have had so many influences in my life. Matriarch, my mom. I had my elementary school teacher was my aunt. My grandmother was really influential in my upbringing. I've obviously a strong wife, sister, plenty of women influences on my life that are not afraid to kind of share their opinions about what's going on, in their worlds, from their perspectives, their vantage points. And, having been in the NBA in 2018 for 9 years at the time, especially out in the West Coast, Silicon Valley, you kind of become aware of certain, obviously, discrepancies and issues that need to be addressed. And especially when it comes to the pay equity conversation, you realize you're in a place that, even if you don't have all the answers, and you understand that there's a broad system that needs to be changed, that you can be a part of that movement, a part of that change, and do something that can move the needle a little bit. And so it developed a perspective of how do I leverage all the resources and avenues to do that, and become really intentional about it. So shout out to all the women in my life that have really, been a huge part of who I am and continue to support me to this day. And now being able to be a part of a lot of different programs and amazing companies, funds, and just opportunities to continue to raise awareness, change the game in that respect, and hopefully continue to push towards a goal of true, equity across the board and a lot of different things. It is more of a mainstream conversation now, which is amazing, but I feel like there's still a lot more work that needs to be done.
You were years ahead.
Yeah.
In terms of gender equity. In 2018, nobody was talking about no NBA players. Any, do your girls, do the women in your life, and do your own daughters have any awareness of that? Has there been any surprising reactions from them, from others?
The first time I actually realized that they were either proud or paying attention to the results of kind of just in my world, how I could kind of, allocate the proper perspective and resources was we did a basketball camp. Pretty much, obviously, basketball is a huge part of our family's life. And, my dad used to run camps in Charlotte when I was growing up. He used to be a counselor, in the summers. And you'd see 100 boys in the gym running around. You maybe see 4 to 6 girls maybe playing right along with them. And it wasn't really kind of talked about as much as, how can we create more opportunity there? And it was able to work with the Warriors Community Foundation and the Warriors Camp organization to run It's Our Game camp that was strictly all girls. It was 200 plus girls and, out of Oakland, a free camp for them to come and have a 2-day clinic and, get the same access to me, to, the coaches that I worked with, the same skill programs and stuff. And I got to invite my mom and my daughter to watch, and just the smile on their face to see, that representation in that gym and see like they were prioritized in that world. It meant a lot. Like, I don't know how many of those girls are going to play professional basketball, but for my daughter to see that, for my mom to be able to talk to parents in that form, and for those girls to have an amazing experience and, build confidence, build, a sense of teamwork, find some type of inspiration, motivation, that could lead them to success in hopefully many different fields, that, that means a lot. So that was the first time I really saw it with my eyes, like my daughter's paying attention. My mom was there. My wife got to kind of walk around and talk to the girls, and we did a panel with a bunch of women from, the business of sports as well, from a coaching perspective, from marketing, from from the executive level. It was awesome.
Sounds like you're close with your mom.
Oh, absolutely. She's an educator. She founded a Montessori school in Charlotte when I was growing up. So I went there from first grade through sixth grade. So not only was she mom, she was the principal of the school, and could never really get away from her. So
we'll do our next podcast on what it's like to have your mom as your principal and your auntie as your teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you talked about this as a good transition into the next thing we want to talk about. There's just a very authentic commitment from you to invest in underrepresented talent. Mm-hmm. Talent that's flying under the radar, whether it's through the camps, through the Black Business Initiative that you recently, I'm like scrolling on my phone and just see you with the podcast, interviewing a cookie CEO. Yeah. It just seems like you're very, very committed to that. Where does that, I know your own personal story plays a role in that, but can you say more about why that's important to you? Why are you doing things like funding, golf programs at Black colleges?
Everything you do, you want to build from an authentic perspective of knowing ways that you can truly impact. And I know like everything has like a social media element to it, where you want to broadcast what you're doing and raise awareness and get eyeballs onto it. But for me, it's more about what's the actual, sustainable impact that you can create. So everything that I've done, everything you kind of, mentioned at a high level, whether it's opportunity through golf, understanding the resources, certain partners that I work with and companies that I work with that are like-minded and have a servant kind of mentality of ways that we can leverage not only building business, but also, create opportunity and give back to underrepresented communities where talent is, present, but there's no real pathway, to kind of reach their full potential in that respect. So either through my foundation, working with the Howard golf team, bringing, both the men's and women's Division I.
Was that always the plan for men and women, or was that something?
Oh, absolutely. It started, that mentality started with our underrated basketball tour, which I could talk about, but it basically was, if we're going to do something in basketball that's going to be catered towards, again, giving the underrepresented, the underrated athlete, that exactly who I was. I was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, was just looking for an opportunity to be seen by the, the scouts and the recruits that were making all these decisions on where scholarships were going. Like, if we're going to do that on the men's side, we're going to do on the women's side. And equity, access, and opportunity is the pillars of what underrated is for how we show up. So it was definitely the equity piece on men's and women's side was there. We wanted to bring that to Howard as well, and to see where that program has gone over the last 3 years. I was just on campus a couple weeks ago and got to spend some time with both the men's and women's team while they were working out, and you can just feel the energy of, they feel seen, they feel supported, they feel like they have a true opportunity to excel in the world of golf. Again, whether that's playing on the tour or being a part of the business of golf, and the access that they have to that specific industry, it gets you excited, gets you goosebumps on your arms, just knowing that you're actually changing a life. I don't know how many lives that will be in the future, but it's meaningful enough to keep doing what we're doing.
Do you golf?
I top golf. What do you like to go?
As long as you top golf, mini golf, doesn't matter.
So your teammate was I was supposed to golf with Dre. We got rained out, and as we were getting ready to do it, it's my first time golfing. I'm thinking, is this the guy I want to play golf with for the first time, given how he talks, given what I didn't want to scar myself. So when we got rained out, I was actually appreciative of it. I've golfed a couple of times since I'm not ready for it.
What was your outfit going to be? Because he likes to bring the style to the course too.
Oh, my outfit was going to be my father-in-law giving me his own. I wasn't invested. I'm not paying for anything until I know I actually want to do it, right?
Straight up. You're smart. You're smart. Yeah.
I'm super curious about your degree. So you just finished your degree at Davidson. So I want you to talk about why you felt compelled to go back and do that. And then we pulled a quote from your thesis because I thought it was really just appropriate for this conversation. So I'm going to read it. It says, because every day is when the pay gap is affecting women, and every day is when the pay gap is sending the wrong message to women about who they are and how they're valued and what they can or cannot become. What I hear in that, it's so much more than just equal pay for equal work, which is, that has become table stakes, but it's more about opportunity. And how are women going to go see themselves and see their potential and see opportunity for themselves as they move forward in their career and life or in sports or whatever? So can you just talk about, number one, like what compelled you to go back and get your degree, and why'd you choose this topic?
Showed up at Davidson in 2006. In my head, I was signed up for a 4-year ride and to fulfill my educational kind of journey on that front is a reason why I chose Davidson, and to have both the academic and athletic experience at a very high level. The NBA was a goal, but I wasn't really in a rush to get there. And so as things kind of materialized throughout my career and I decided to leave after my junior year, I made a promise to my now wife, my coach, and again, my mom, who for her, she made a joke about it. During the ceremony that we had when I actually graduated, she was like, all the rings that you have are great and the banners, but I'm glad you got the diploma championship as something that was really important to her and to me, obviously. So it was a 14-year journey to get there. Davidson, it has a standard of how you can pursue finishing your degree when you're not on campus. So I had to kind of go through that process, but to be able to, again, finish what you start. My kids are a little older now, so we were kind of going to school at the same time. It was kind of fun for them to ask questions about what is like school like for you type of vibe. And even though they're 10, 7, and 4, I think my girls, so the older two, could take a little bit away of how important their education is and the focus on bridging all their different interests and making school fun and it's something that's important, not just something to do. So that whole process was amazing. And then to pick gender equity as a topic for a thesis that I wanted to kind of study, it was built on the things that I had done since I left college. Everything we kind of talked about in terms of the programs and initiatives and things that I've been blessed to be a part of and kind of leverage within my off-court expression. And I feel like to really understand, the systems behind how we got to this place and what we can really do to continue to make the necessary changes, it would only help, kind of continue to cement and motivate the work that I've been doing. So the whole process was amazing. The quote that you kind of talked about, it does speak to pay equity is huge. It's everybody wants to be paid what they're worth, and when it comes to equal work, equal pay, and that being a standard across the board, it's also the sentiment that every room, in every position or team of leaders, from the C-suite all the way down, how companies are run, like you need women in those rooms to level up the company, to level up, the direction of what business that you're building, and to really value that perspective and that input and what women can bring to the table, and not being an exception to the rule, that it being, what the expectation is. And so we've seen that in sports now, especially, and I know, the Warriors have been at the forefront of opening up positions and roles that have been predominantly male, dominated and run, even from a coaching perspective, from an analytics perspective, to a sports performance and training perspective, all the way down. So I think all that's kind of hitting an inflection point on really seeing the results.
Should publish your thesis.
I'm really working on it. I want to make sure it's digestible enough that it's not just.
Maria's a good proofreader, so she got her. All right, so we're like 15, 20 minutes in. We haven't talked about basketball. I'm a Bay Area native, lifelong Warriors fan. It was dark for 25 years, and then you showed up. Thank you. It was a long couple of decades, but we've talked about everything but basketball. 3 kids, going to school with them, running, your eat, learn, play, Howard golf, all these off the court things. And it seems like over the past 2 years, you've taken all that to the next level, like our best in class at that, while also winning a championship. So it hasn't been to the detriment of your actual day job. That type of excellence is so rare. What are the keys to that? How are you actually, what's the key to balance? I've got 3 kids and a job. I don't have 3 kids and a job and going to school and all those, and, here in Minnesota in negative 10 degree weather. How are you balancing this?
Is there a real such thing as balance? I'm going to throw the question back because it's kind of like, I see some nods off camera, but it's like, that is the goal, to feel like you're able to, have the ultimate focus with all the different hats that you have, to, bring your best energy, your best self, to be present in the rooms that you're in, and to understand how your time is allocated. There should be return on that from not just a business perspective, but a peace of mind and a happiness perspective as well. So I feel like that evolves over time, and it's always kind of reiterating itself. Like, what life was like a year ago is totally different than what it is now, and you have to make the necessary adjustments so that you're always kind of answering that question. I worked with a professor as part of my thesis who's out at Stanford.
We all work with the same one. Yeah. We got to shout her out.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jennifer Acker-Smith, who there's like a 5 part questionnaire. Is one where like has your life giving you kind of your space to pursue what you want to pursue, like how to
have beautiful moments.
The beautiful moments and the time, and like basically to help have her process was to self-assess all the time, constantly self-assess, kind of those things of happiness, being purpose-driven, feeling like you're around people that uplift you and all those type of things in all areas of your life. So I feel like the balance has been built on a lot of mistakes and a lot of kind of overextending yourself and having to kind of pull back a little bit, and also giving yourself grace at the same time. I know we're all in this room because we're highly motivated, highly self-driven, want to be great at everything that we do. And when you don't hit those marks, it becomes frustrating at times, and you kind of have to pull back and again, give yourself grace to know that's okay. Like, go back to the drawing board, figure out what changes you need to make. So, helps to have an amazing partner, my wife, who's kind of on that same journey with me. And has been since day one, since, we started on this journey, and life is not anything like we expected it. But, that's why I say I don't know if there is a balance, but it's also just, again, that self-assessment is huge.
Jen is an advisor to all of us, and then I think we all have incredible partners that we lean on and accelerate the things that we do.
You have to have that. I think when you have so many balls in the air, if you don't have that equitable partnership, it's really tough.
No doubt. And, I know we're surrounded, like, we shouted out Jennifer, but like, she's a symbol of team, right? You have to have a team around you, and nothing that you do great in this world you do by yourself. So invest in that, because that's huge.
Well, teams have coaches, and your former teammate, Sean, Maria actually interviewed him at our summit, and he talked about Steve Kerr and his approach to values-driven coaching, and the importance of that. And you've talked about the importance of coaching, actually personal coaching in your life. And I'm actually gonna read it because these are your words, not mine. But you wrote, to excel at the highest level, or any level really, you need to believe in yourself, and hands down, one of the biggest contributors to my self-confidence has been private coaching. Can you talk a little bit more? You touched on it with Jen, but how has private coaching just been such a critical aspect of your life and your success?
I feel like one of my biggest strengths is being able to be coachable and be able to be open-minded about different perspectives and to be challenged in that way. Obviously having a strong conviction of who I am as a person, what my strengths and weaknesses are, but you also have to be open to, you know, either experts in the field and the ability for somebody to kind of pull the best out of you. And throughout my life, I can look at every level that I've been at, even in education, whether as a teacher, but especially in sports with, you know, the coaches that I've had, mentors that I've had along the way that have they've planted some amazing seeds and watered them, you know, through those different stages. And I carry a little bit of that every single step of the way. So from, you know, high school with my coach Sean Brown to college and Bob McKillop, and even the coaches that I've had in the NBA, all four of them.
You got 4 coaches?
Yeah, Don Nelson, Keith Smart, Mark Jackson, and Steve Kerr. They're all, and I guess Luke Walton. Hopefully they all would say that I was coachable in the sense that they could, one, hold me accountable, whether it was one-to-one or me in front of the whole team, because, you know, I'm not above anything that, you know, a coach could tell me in that setting, but also that I responded to it well. And obviously there's different styles of coaching and mentorship as well, but figuring out what works for you and how and what you respond to, it all matters, because you can drive yourself to a certain point, but you need that outside perspective, I think, to level up to your full potential.
We were talking a lot when I did the interview at Concrete Rose, their summit of Sean. He was talking about Steve Kerr, and he was talking about his 4 values, but he specifically focused on his value of joy and how he really had it when times are good, when times are bad, winning, losing. And it's something Sean and I talk about a lot, because I think going back to workplace equity, a lot of companies right now, it's a volatile time. People are cutting their diversity, equity, inclusion programs. They're deprioritizing them. So how do you do that? Like, as a leader on the court, as a leader in general, if you believe that your values are these certain things, like, how do you hold tight to those when times are tough?
That's the daily challenge, right? I think Coach Kerr does an amazing job of reminding you through all the turmoil and ups and downs just how blessed you really are. If you take a second just to think about your place in life and society and, you know, what's got you to this point, like, don't ever lose sight of that. But he's very honest about the state of the team at that particular time, the individual relationships that he's managing throughout the organization, throughout the team, and finding ways to connect on a human level. I heard Joe Mazzulla, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, the other day. He was actually talking about the Tyree Nichols situation, and somebody asked him that similar question, like, how do you lead a team as a head coach? Like, how do you see yourself? And he actually said, I'm not a head coach. Like, I'm a guy that cares about people and can try to connect with people and make them a little bit better each and every day. I'm paraphrasing, but I actually resonate with that, because I feel like that's what Coach Kerr would say, in the sense of, like, you have to connect on a human level first. And I think he does an amazing job of that from day one when he took the job with me and the leaders and everybody that's come in. He's just kind of an open book on that front. And so once you have that connection, it helps get through some of the emotional roller coasters of success and failure and good times, bad times, and all that type of stuff. And to Sean Livingston's point, his core values, he'll write them on the board. He's going to be mad because I remember 3 of the 4 right now. But like the joy and mindfulness and competitiveness, those 3, like, mindfulness has such a broad term of, like, how do you exist in this team atmosphere that takes you outside of just yourself. Like, we all have stories. We all come from somewhere. We're all representing families. We're representing different experiences, but we're all here for a specific purpose. And he reminds us of that on a daily basis. So that helps, get through the long 82 game schedule and year after year after year. Because it is stressful. Like, we all, again, hold ourselves to a high standard and we want to be great, but how you get there is the secret sauce.
Any recent back to Jen and her idea of the beautiful moment, like any recent beautiful moment you can share that you were really present in that moment and sort of it registered that this is one of those things. This is one of those moments I don't want to forget.
The ones that are broadcasted everywhere, like obviously championship celebrations and all that are great, but this is not going to be a glamorous answer. We had a players only meeting the other day.
Mm-hmm. It's usually never glamorous.
And it was the first time this year that second time this year, we've all been able to kind of lay everything out about kind of what I just talked about, of like what everybody individually was going through, what we all see it being an open forum and a non-judgmental area of let's all just put this on the table and figure out what we're going to do with it to turn our season into something that's going to be worth it and all that. It's just, again, a reminder of the human element of what basketball is and what our careers are and what it takes to, achieve anything special at this level, because everybody's talented. Everybody is capable of having a great night, but like to sustain it at the level that we've had, you have to have those moments and everybody has to be present in them and everybody has to be willing to kind of put themselves out there. So Draymond has reminded me over the course of these years, the beauty of what we've built in our culture is that nobody has to be anything other than themselves. And that's such a powerful statement because we all accept each other. We're all so different, and we're not perfect by any stretch, but we are who we are and what we've brought. It all works, and as long as we keep doing that, then you'll be proud of the result no matter what it goes. And that moment, to your question about that players only meeting, reminded me of that part of the journey. So not a real glamorous answer in terms of what the moment
That's an amazing answer, man.
It's real.
Yeah.
So we do a speed round at the end of our podcast.
We're at time.
So we're going to run into the speed round and then just thank you so much for
first, man, I hope you're writing all this down, or I hope you journal or something, because this is, you are definitely in a flow that you see with very few people, and it's pretty amazing how you articulate it. It's something that's really hard to communicate, and just masterful in a way that you actually. I'm blown away right now in the way that you've actually laid.
We're all living similar, that's why.
Yeah, but you sound like a Buddhist monk or something.
No, I appreciate that. It's real though.
All right, speed round.
All right.
Go ahead.
Best parent. Oh, I want this one because I got 7 kids, so I need the parenting advice. Or maybe I should give you parenting advice.
I would take some parenting advice right now. What is the best parenting advice? Oh, don't do anything that'll make make your kid have to make the decision to not like you, in the sense of like that discipline, right? Like, we're not supposed to be their best friend or by any stretch, but don't act out of anger that you'll regret how they look at you.
Like it. First concert.
Janet Jackson.
That was my first concert.
Was it really?
Rhythm Nation.
Yeah. It got a little frisky.
It got a little rowdy.
I had a couple my mom going like this a couple of times. Yeah.
Who is your non-basketball, non-family hero?
Ooh, it's a huge name drop. It was Barack.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be the answer, but
no.
We actually predicted your answers before we have a bet going, so
right.
He's
Let
winning.
me know at the end.
Which stadium has the best popcorn?
So I have a whole list. It's probably changed since the pandemic, but top 3 were Dallas, Miami. Dallas, Miami. Oh, well, Golden at home we do, because our shout out to Bert Ortiz Jr. He's gonna love. He makes the best popcorn in the league. But Dallas and Miami have top 3 popcorns.
Love to win or hate to lose?
I love to win.
Best thing you've bought in the last year? Best purchase you made?
I got me and my wife's first dance song on a vinyl with the lyrics on it. I got a nice little frame and put it up there.
Thanks for doing it.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Shift, and a special thank you to our guest, Stephen Curry, for joining us. We'll see you next time as we continue to explore how companies, leaders, activists, and employees are tackling inequity in the workplace. Make sure to tune in on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.